Welcome to our presentation on IHL law that we've been doing, sponsored by the Red Cross. We've been doing this for the past 2 months, and I hope you enjoy our presentation. I'm Shannon.
I'm David.
I'm Ashley.
I'm Rocco.
I'm Lindsay.
I'm Ian. I'm Joel.
I'm Keegan.
I'm Marla.
And I'm Alex.
I'm Mrs. Crossgrove, the art teacher at Evertech.
And I'm Mrs. Thompson, the global teacher at Evertech.
I hate when my phone charger won't reach my bed.
I hate when my little seats aren't heated.
When I go to the bathroom and I forget my phone.
Le mettre radio dans machine à laver, et comme se sentir.
I hate it when my house is so big. I need 2 wireless washers.
When my migraine makes my hot water taste too cold.
When I have to write my name in the check, but I forget her last night.
Papa écrit message dans marché en même temps.
Moi te quitte casse-moi en bas.
Moi raille mes voisins bloquer internet là.
I hate it when I tell them no pickles and they still give me pickles.
The mint gum and the water. It's too cold. Yeah, or you just got really comfortable in bed, but you're hungry. You want to go get a Hot Pocket, but you're just like, oh, I'm so comfortable. Those are first world problems, and they don't even have food. I mean, as you can see, and that's what people think of when they think of world problems. It's poverty, hunger. And Red Cross does help out with that, and floods, giving out blankets, helping restore. Donating blood is what they're most known for, whenever people see the cross. And that's mainly in the United States is what they're known for, is giving blood. But that's not all they do. It's not just in the United States, it's international, worldwide. And they help regulate and dignify what is right and what's wrong in war. Here's Alex and Mala to explain.
Hi guys, I'm Mala.
And I'm Alex.
We are Binghamton University students and we're from the Red Cross.
And the program we did with this class was called Red Cross. It's an experiential learning program where you go through simulations and role plays to learn about international humanitarian law. Obviously it's Red Cross sponsored, as you can see by our shirts and everything. And the fortunate thing is it's a national pilot program, so we're one of 4 places in the country that get to do this program. And we're really happy to be at Evertech and be talking to you guys, and this is our action campaign where we spread the knowledge that we learned to you.
So what is international humanitarian law? It's a law that seeks to limit effects of armed conflict and protects who are not participating in the war, like child soldiers or wounded soldiers or prisoners of war, civilians. And it restricts brutal methods of warfare and limits the impact. The 4 general principles are distinction, proportionality, military necessity, and unnecessary suffering like torture. It offers protection to who is not participating in the war, but have to live in the war zones. And it helps bring compassion and fair understanding to what is actually humane in war.
So, do any of you recognize anything on the screen right now?
Black Ops!
Yeah, there's Black Ops, there's books, there's newspapers. That's not war. War is something you deal with every day, just like us or we do, but we don't get the full extent of it. We hear it on TV. These people, like in A Long Way Gone by Ishmael Bay, they are surrounded by war 24/7, you know. In a video game, you can press restart and you're back in a minute or so. When you get shot in real life, there's no coming back. There's nothing after that, you know. pretty much done. So, Ashley?
Has anyone read the story A Long Way Gone by Ishmael Bay?
Alright, so then you all know what it's about, how he went from having a fairly decent life to being forced out of his home, seeing hundreds of people killed. If the Red Cross had stepped in the beginning, it would have changed his life and hundreds of others' lives. But they weren't able to get to him until later on after he had been a soldier for years. And they were able to recuperate him, and he's now a humanitarian, I believe, and he was able to come to the United States and escape everything there. And
wasn't that UNICEF that rehabilitated him, not the Red Cross?
Yeah, it was UNICEF.
It was UNICEF then. Alright.
Well, the major point is that IHL, International Humanitarian Law, is important in seeking to prevent these sorts of things that happen, the atrocities that you guys read about in your book, and all the horrible things that he went through and the pain he felt, and the civilians around him as well. IHL looks to prevent all of that.
And it's not just a book. Like, this stuff still goes on today. Like, there's kids that are stolen from their families. Like, well, when you were 8, like, you thought of, like, well, I want to go down the street and hang out with my friends. There's children that are illegally fighting in third world countries right now.
For the past 2 months, Alex and Mala have come to our class for an hour a week, and we did all these activities, and as we did them, Ms. Crosgrove took pictures, and we have a slideshow for you guys to watch.
He's 5'2" and he's 6'4". He fights with missiles and with spears. He's all of 31 and he's only 17.
This is that's a picture of the final art project we did. And it's also right here. We each chose an image that kind of spoke to us about what we learned. And then over here, if some of you aren't familiar with the 6 words sentence thing about what you experienced, we wrote some about going through the program with Alex and Mala. I think the pictures really represent Red Cross well, and also each of us. That's Ashley's, Ian, David, that's mine, and Keegan. Like, we all kind of contributed, and they are just either what happens and what Red Cross tries to stop, or it's actual Red Cross aides helping. And so I think the art project, that's what we really wanted to get out there, because we all like the art part of it.
We just want to thank you guys for coming down, and you know, this is something that's not really talked about all the time, so it's good to hear it. It's good to listen and think about it. So if there's anything you guys learned about this or want to say or any questions, now's a good time, and we'll here to take those.
I was wondering, you know, I see right here they are the rules of war. Can you discuss that a little? What are the rules? It seems like the contrary statement. What's the rules of war?
They're actual rules, they're laws. It's the legal part of war. Like, most of you think, if, like, say Osama had important information, we had him, and we needed information, most of you think torturing would be okay in that situation? Torturing is illegal no matter what, even though kind of under all of it that people do it. So it is illegal. Also, the proportionality law. Say there was someone really important hiding in a village that had many civilians in the village. You can't just go attack to get that one person if there's 100 other people going to be killed or injured. So it really is like the legal part of war, rather than people usually see like, oh, they're just fighting. It's just they're defending. It's more gruesome than you think.
And so when these rules are violated,
There is legal consequences.
who
And
is this? What IHL? Are they?
They help with it. Yeah.
They're the folks
It's also
trying to find justice.
IHL is International Humanitarian Law. It's the body that would prosecute war criminals. They'd be brought in front of a court.
And they'd be charged with a war crime.
And what kind of court? You know, like
It's
that's an international court.
It's an international court, and they can also be brought up in courts in their own country, because IHL also applies to wars within states, say civil war.
Dylan?
In how many years have you actually seen someone brought up on charges for war crimes?
They occur.
I mean, the last one I even heard about was the one colonel, and it wasn't even a war crime.
Well, people go, like, Saddam Hussein would be charged with war crimes, you know, and the consequences may have been different in his country, but it'll happen, you know, if you follow, like, International War Criminal Court.
It doesn't just affect like the one person who gets the crime. It affects the whole country. Like Iraq, you guys think of, like, oh, they tortured or they bombed, like, for their religion. America, you think of, oh, we're nice, we don't torture, but it's how other countries see you as. It's not just the individual person.
And if you guys remember that Coney video that's very popular about child soldiers, one of the aims of that was to bring the General Coney in to be charged with war crimes. So, yeah.
Can you explain to us how the Red Cross is connected with the Geneva Conventions and how that's connected with IHL?
Yeah. All right. So, so the Red Cross founded the Geneva Conventions, and they were founded in Geneva, Switzerland, by a man by Henry Dunant, and he came across a battlefield, and this is when he founded the Red Cross as a whole. He came across the battlefield and saw a bunch of wounded soldiers, and he was actually on a business trip to go see Napoleon Bonaparte, and he was so disgusted by this war scene that he recruited a local village to provide humanitarian efforts, basically, for all these soldiers, regardless of what side they're fighting for, bring them into a local church and take care of them. And the Geneva Conventions, there's 4, and they cover soldiers, sailors, prisoners of war, and civilians under IHL. So they just sort of define what international humanitarian law is, I guess, and IHL refers to the entire body.
Thank you.
I have another question. You had the Bea book up there. Has the international community made progress in regards to child soldiers in Africa or anywhere?
As far as the law is concerned, that exists, you're not allowed to recruit kids under the age of 15. We see that very differently in this country, but throughout the world, the age of 15 is when you can begin fighting and or being recruited to fight. And as far as headway or any sort of success in preventing child soldiers, I'm not exactly positive. I think something like this that brings awareness would be headway in itself, but I'm not sure about the actual.
And one thing to keep in mind, we think children's soldiers, and we think other countries, but it wasn't all that long ago that there were 15-year-old Americans fighting in our wars. So progress does happen. It can be slow.
In response to his question about criminals being prosecuted, I was thinking about I think it was Serbia and Croatia, when they had wars, their people, the people that they captured and the higher-ups, the generals and so on, have been and put in prison for life or executed. But the Iraq War, when we invaded Iraq, there were several trials. Matter of fact, Saddam Hussein was executed after a trial there. So yes, it does. They do.
Yeah. I mean, it's not very much publicized. People, some maybe, but we don't hear much about it. So.
And I think that's why it really goes over.